Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. Net worth gets a lot of attention in the personal finance space. It's seen as a great way to measure progress towards our goals, but we can't really look at net worth in a vacuum, and so often people are tempted to link income and net worth. But in the real world, net worth and income are not perfectly correlated. If two things are perfectly correlated, they're said to have a correlation coefficient of 1, meaning that as one variable increases, the other variable increases by the exact same amount. If you were to plot these variables on a graph, you would have a perfect upward sloping curve. But as much as I know everyone is super excited to talk about correlation coefficients, bear with me for a second because it really does matter. This is not what we see in the real world. When incomes increase, we don't see an identical increase in net worth. Rather, we can say that income is moderately associated or moderately correlated with net worth. Yes, as income increases, people tend to have higher net worths, but it's not always the case. And just in case you're wondering what the correlation coefficient is between income and net worth, it's 0.559. So yes, they are positively correlated, but it's certainly not a perfect one-to-one correlation. Rather, if we try to visualize the relationship between income and net worth, it looks something like this. And look at the cluster of dots. Green represents 20-year-olds, white represents middle-age, and purple represents 80-year-olds, with the varying shades in between. Looking at incomes ranging from $10,000 a year all the way up to $250,000 a year or even $500,000 a year, we see that millionaires exist in each of these income ranges. Yes, they're more concentrated at higher income levels, but they exist at lower incomes too. Now, of course, there's going to be outliers in every data set, and maybe you could make the argument that some of these lower income earning individuals are large stakeholders in businesses. Perhaps consider Warren Buffett, who has an annual income of $100,000 a year, but that's certainly no indicator of his overall net worth. But these types of situations really are more the outliers rather than the general rule. You could also consider that once people retire, say they're in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and they step away from their workforce, that there is a significant drop to their income, but comparatively, they would likely have a higher net worth after years of savings and investing. When it comes down to net worth, income is only one piece of the puzzle. Yes, income matters, but there are other factors to consider. One of the most important things when looking at net worth is age. And let's look at that graph of income and net worth again. Remember, the purple dots represent those who are more mature. Think those in their 70s or their 80s. And look where those purple dots are. They are all conveniently clustered at the highest net worth individuals in each income subset. Age plays a huge factor when it comes to building up your net worth, and quite frankly, it's because you have more working years under your belt. You've had more years to save and invest and allow compounding to work its magic on your investments. Truly wonderful things can happen when you invest even small amount over a really long period of time. Consider someone who starts investing at the age of 20 and does that all the way up to the age of 80. That's 60 years of investing. Investing something like $250 a month and capturing an 8% rate of return would allow this investor to build a portfolio of nearly $4 million. Often we see headline-catching topics talking about net worth and age, and these headlines grab a lot of attention because often people are curious where they stand next to their peers, people of similar ages. So just because it's something people are curious about, let's get that data tossed up on the screen. Based on the most recent data from the Federal Reserve, here's what the median net worth broken down by age is for the United States. Naturally, as age increases, you see net worth increase, as individuals get more working and saving years under their belt. Then, as they step away from the workforce and into retirement, this net worth tends to plateau or even take a bit of a dip. And that's fairly consistent with the data from the scatter plot. Moral of the story is the older you are, the more likely you are to have built more wealth. And that's simply because you've had more time to build wealth. Having a consistently high income throughout your working years is absolutely going to make it easier to build wealth. Consider a 30-year-old who has a $100,000 annual income, and consider a 65-year-old with that same income. Yes, these incomes are the same, but the situations are very different. The 30-year-old is still at the beginning stages of their career, and given 20 or 30 years' time, their income will likely be much higher. They probably have a lot of advancement potential. Whereas if you look at the 65-year-old, they're probably towards the end of their career and worked up to this income over time. Looking at this kind of trajectory, someone starting with a relatively high income, it's going to be easier for them to save and invest a greater portion of their income throughout their entire career and build greater wealth, as opposed to someone maybe who worked up to a higher income just in the later stages of their career. That is assuming that they keep lifestyle creep in check. If we look at 401k balances by income, it looks something like this. Yes, this shows that as income increases, so too do these account balances. The larger your income, the easier it should be for you to be able to set aside a higher dollar amount to invest. No matter what your income level, there has to be an element of frugality. I often feel like there's this misconception that high income earners don't need to budget, or they don't even have to try and save. It's just simply that saving and investing comes naturally. But I think we all know by this point that it is possible to outspend at any income level. If when your income increases, you buy that nicer car, the nicer home, or nicer vacation, you can just as easily find yourself living paycheck to paycheck on a $300,000 income as, say, a $50,000 income. And just consider the power of staying disciplined and making sure to save 10 to 15% of your income, no matter what your income level. I was recently talking to a friend who is a high income earner, and he was saying he's only capable of saving 10% of his income, but he has an income that's $300,000 a year. So 10% is $30,000 into investments. That's a pretty decent chunk. Could he find ways to cut back on his lifestyle and save more? Of course he could, but he doesn't want to, and that's totally fine. The fact of the matter is, he's saving a lot. He doesn't want to retire early, he likes his job, and he wants to enjoy his life. So as long as you're checking the box on savings and investments, the rest of your income is really yours to do whatever you wish with. But there has to be an element of savings built in, no matter what the income is. If you have a relatively lower income and you have the goal of a higher net worth, you're going to have to make more cuts. You're going to have to find a way to save a greater percentage of your income, if that's your goal. But certainly it does make it easier to save if you build up your income. Overall, Americans are getting better at saving. In fact, according to the research firm Transamerica Institute, 44% of workers have reached super saver status. Now, I do feel like we're playing it a little bit fast and loose with the term super saver, because according to Transamerica, a super saver is anyone saving 10% or more of their income. And to me, saving 10% of your income is just a saver, not really a super saver. For someone to be dubbed as a super saver in my eyes, I'd probably say they would need to be saving maybe 25% of your income. But maybe that attitude is kind of splitting hairs. The overarching theme here is that people are getting better at saving a greater percentage of their income. Finally, luck plays a role. A lot of people don't like to admit it, but it does play a factor in a lot of ways. We can talk about this from the stance of investing or even from the stance of opportunities. For me, I graduated undergrad in December of 2008, and that means I got my first job in January of 2009, and that is when I started investing aggressively. And that was a very lucky time to start investing aggressively. I didn't know it then, but that was when the market had hit bottom. Consider this. If you had a $10,000 lump sum put into the market in January of 2009, by June of 2024, it would have grown to over $83,000. Alternatively, that same lump sum invested in January of 2008 or January of 2010 would have grown to nearly $54,000 or $63,000. That's luck. And regardless of the outcome, the message is still the same. Get investing as soon as you possibly can and stay invested. And I really don't like the attitude of throwing your hands up and giving it all up to luck. I firmly believe in the quote that the harder I work, the luckier I get. Looking to boost your income and find a better career path? Then network. Constantly be talking to people beyond your current social circle. Networking and constantly talking to recruiters can have a huge benefit. Even if you're happy with your current position, you never know what opportunities you might face down the road. So constantly be learning and enhancing your skill set. You never know when you might meet someone that opens a door and creates an opportunity. I once met a recruiter out on a hike on a vacation. We hit it off on the hike and decided to go to lunch afterwards. That lunch turned into a friendship, and a year later, that friendship turned into a job offer at a startup. Try starting that business you've been thinking about. You never know if it'll take off. The more opportunities you give yourself, the more chances you have for success. But you have to get out of your comfort zone. Continually put yourself in positions for luck to strike. I think one of the easiest ways to make it easier on yourself to build up your net worth is to work on increasing your income. But no matter what your income, you have to make sure that you're making room to save and invest, because a high income doesn't guarantee a high net worth. What do you think are the best ways to boost your net worth? Leave your thoughts in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. Highest net worth individual in every seen as a great way to measure. I graduated undergrad in December of